You might be fasting perfectly, skipping breakfast, watching the clock, feeling proud of your discipline. Yet that stubborn belly fat refuses to move. You do everything right, but your energy crashes, your cravings creep back, and you start to wonder, is fasting even working for me? The truth is, there's a hidden mistake most people make that blocks fasting's full potential. You can be doing everything right on the surface. Clean fasting windows, long hours, even consistency, and still never tap into the real magic of autophagy, that deep cellular repair switch that burns visceral fat, cleans out damaged cells, and renews your metabolism from the inside out. Here's what's really happening: your body isn't switching gears. It's stuck in sugar burning mode, even while you think you're fasting. This is because one small, sneaky habit keeps insulin elevated just enough to block autophagy. And when insulin stays up, fat burning stays locked down. Most people never catch it because it doesn't look like a big deal. It's hidden in your morning routine, your healthy snacks, or even how you break your fast. But it's powerful enough to stall all progress. Once you understand this mistake and fix it, everything changes. Your fasting finally works. Your energy lifts instead of crashes. Your mental clarity sharpens. And most importantly, your body begins burning the dangerous visceral fat that drives disease, brain fog, and inflammation. This isn't about fasting longer or harder. It's about fasting smarter, learning how to let your insulin fall low enough, long enough to unlock autophagy and let your body do the healing it's built to do. You can almost feel the frustration in people's voices when they say it. I've been fasting for weeks, but my belly fat isn't budging. They're skipping breakfast, watching the hours tick by until their eating window, doing everything the experts said to do. Yet the scale won't move, their waistline won't shrink, and the mirror doesn't show progress. It's not that they're lazy or undisciplined. In fact, most of them are working harder than ever. The problem isn't effort, it's physiology. Fasting is supposed to switch your body from storing mode to burning mode. That's what everyone tells you. You stop eating, your insulin drops, and your body finally taps into fat for fuel. Sounds simple, right? But here's the twist for most people: that switch never truly flips. Their insulin never falls low enough to unlock stored fat. They're technically fasting, but metabolically, their body is still trapped in storage mode. Insulin is the hormone that controls whether your body stores or burns energy. Think of it as a gatekeeper. When insulin is high, fat is locked inside your cells, sealed off, unavailable for energy. When insulin drops, the gates open and fat becomes fuel. The issue is that insulin is incredibly sensitive. Even small hidden spikes can keep that gate closed for hours. It doesn't take much: a splash of cream in your coffee, a 0-calorie sweetener, or even chronic stress that raises cortisol, and in turn, insulin. These tiny things seem harmless, but they're enough to tell your body, we're still in feeding mode. And as long as insulin stays elevated, your body won't access stored fat, no matter how long you've gone without food. This is where most fasters get stuck. They're doing all the right things behaviorally, but haven't learned how to get their chemistry on board. They think the issue is not fasting long enough or not being strict enough. So they push harder, extend their fasts, restrict more, and still see no change. But their body isn't disobedient, it's following the signals perfectly. The problem is that the signals are confusing. You see, the body doesn't run on hours, it runs on hormones. You might think, I haven't eaten for 16 hours. I should be burning fat. But if your insulin is still up from that flavored sparkling water, the artificial sweetener, or even from too much protein at your last meal, your body doesn't care how many hours it's been. Insulin trumps time. This misunderstanding leads to one of the biggest frustrations I see in patients who come to me saying, fasting doesn't work. It's not that fasting doesn't work. It's that their version of fasting isn't lowering insulin enough to let it work. And here's the kicker: when insulin stays high, autophagy, the deep cellular cleanup that makes fasting so powerful, can't activate either. Autophagy is your body's built-in repair system. It destroys damaged cells, recycles them, and triggers the burning of old, unhealthy fat around your organs. But it only kicks in when insulin is truly low. So if insulin is quietly elevated, you're missing both benefits: the fat burning and the cellular healing. That's why you can fast for days and still feel sluggish, foggy, and stuck. Your body is still running on glucose instead of fat. Your cells aren't repairing, they're just waiting. It's like having the engine running, but never shifting into drive. Once people understand this, it's like a light switch flips. They realize fasting isn't about sheer willpower or going longer without food. It's about precision. It's about understanding what keeps insulin high, how small mistakes can block fat burning, and what to change so your body finally transitions into true fasting mode. That's when fasting starts to feel effortless. When your energy steadies, your hunger fades, and the scale finally responds. Because the truth is, fasting works beautifully once you remove the one thing standing in its way. The hidden roadblock isn't your discipline. It's that invisible hormonal lock keeping your fat trapped and your body out of repair mode. And when you learn to unlock it, everything about fasting begins to change. When fasting is done right, your body undergoes one of the most remarkable transformations in human biology, a metabolic shift from storing energy to healing itself. It's not magic. It's chemistry, and it starts with one signal: insulin. Every time you eat, your insulin rises to handle the incoming glucose. That's normal and necessary. Insulin's job is to move that glucose from your bloodstream into your cells, either to be used immediately for energy or stored for later as fat. But here's the problem. When insulin stays elevated too often or for too long, your body never gets the message to use the stored fuel. You're always in fed mode. And fat burning is essentially locked out. Fasting works because it flips that script. When you stop eating, insulin begins to fall. And the lower insulin goes, the more your body transitions into a completely different operating system, one that prioritizes repair over storage. In this state, your metabolism shifts from burning glucose to burning fat. The liver starts converting fatty acids into ketones, a cleaner, steadier energy source that fuels your brain and cells without the crashes of sugar. This is the essence of metabolic flexibility, your body's ability to switch between sugar and fat for fuel. When insulin finally drops low enough, fat burning is unlocked, and your cells start running on their backup power source, ketones. That's when fasting stops feeling like deprivation and starts feeling like clarity, steady energy, mental focus, calm hunger. But something even more powerful happens when this switch flips autophagy. Autophagy literally means self-eating. It's your body's natural cleanup crew, a recycling system that identifies old, damaged, or malfunctioning cells and breaks them down for parts. Think of it as cellular spring cleaning. When autophagy activates, your body stops building and starts repairing. It scavenges worn-out proteins, clears away toxins, and even dismantles precancerous cells before they can cause harm. The body only triggers autophagy when it senses scarcity. When nutrients aren't constantly pouring in and insulin levels stay low, high insulin signals abundance, telling your body, we're in storage mode, no need to repair. Low insulin says, resources are limited. Let's clean house and conserve energy. That's the biological beauty of fasting. It creates that signal shift. In the first several hours, your body burns through stored glucose. As that supply dwindles, insulin drops further and fat burning begins. After that, once your body realizes food isn't on the way, it activates autophagy, repairing, recycling, and rebuilding from within. But here's the catch. Autophagy is fragile. It's like a delicate switch that only flips when insulin is truly low. A single spike, even from something small, can pause the process for hours. That's why people who think their fasting might actually be interrupting this critical phase without realizing it. Maybe it's a splash of cream in their coffee or a harmless 0-calorie drink. Maybe it's a high-carb meal the night before that keeps insulin elevated well into the fasting window. Whatever the source, that lingering insulin blocks the very repair process fasting is meant to ignite. When fasting is done properly, with clean windows, hydration, and awareness, the chemistry shifts beautifully. Your insulin dips, your fat cells open, and autophagy hums quietly in the background, cleaning up the messes your body has been too busy to address. This is why fasting can lower inflammation, sharpen focus, and rejuvenate mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells. It's literally internal housekeeping that your body can't perform when insulin is constantly triggered. People often describe a sense of calm or mental clarity when they finally reach this state. That's not imagination. That's ketones fueling your brain while damaged cells are being cleared out. It's your body in its most natural healing rhythm. But when fasting is done incorrectly, when insulin is kept artificially high, none of this can happen. You might feel hungry, tired, even frustrated, because your body is stuck in limbo. You're not feeding, but you're also not healing. It's the worst of both worlds. The difference between those two experiences, between frustration and transformation, lies entirely in that hormonal shift. Lowering insulin doesn't just unlock fat loss, it's the key that opens the door to autophagy, longevity, and true cellular repair. That's why understanding the fasting mistake is so important, because if you don't let insulin fall, you never give your body the chance to clean, heal, and burn fat the way it was designed to. Here's the part that surprises almost everyone. The reason you're fasting isn't delivering results often has nothing to do with how long you're fasting. It's what's happening during that fasting window that quietly sabotages everything. The real culprit isn't lack of discipline or willpower. It's those tiny, hidden insulin spikes that sneak in and flip your body right back into storage mode. Insulin doesn't need a full meal to rise. It just needs a signal, a cue that food might be coming. That cue can be something as small as a taste, a smell, or a chemical that mimics sweetness. When that happens, your brain tells your pancreas, get ready, food's on the way. And before you know it, insulin is released, even if there's no actual glucose to handle. That's why so many people think they're fasting, but are actually interrupting the entire process without realizing it. You might be proud of your intermittent fasting routine, sipping your morning coffee with a splash of cream or MCT oil, chewing a piece of gum to fight hunger, or drinking a zero-calorie soda to stay energized. It feels harmless, but each of those can send just enough of a signal to keep insulin from falling to the level your body needs to burn fat and activate autophagy. Take that popular bulletproof coffee, for example. Many fasters swear by it, claiming it keeps them in ketosis. But the truth is, adding butter, coconut oil, or cream, even in small amounts, can trigger a rise in insulin for many people. Fat itself doesn't raise insulin much, but the combination of fat with certain proteins or milk solids in cream is enough to disrupt the fasting chemistry. It tells your body, we're still in feeding mode, and your metabolism responds accordingly. No fat burning, no cellular cleanup. Then there are flavored drinks, the zero sugar, ones that promise to support fasting. The label looks perfect, no calories, no carbs. But the taste? Sweet. That sweetness is enough to trick the brain. The taste receptors in your mouth send a message to your hypothalamus, which then cues the pancreas to release insulin in anticipation. It's a learned response. Your body has been trained over decades to associate sweetness with sugar. Even if no sugar arrives, insulin still spikes, keeping your body from shifting fully into repair mode. And let's not forget gum, mints, or breath fresheners. They seem innocent, but most of them contain artificial sweeteners or sugar alcohols that can do the same thing. People chew them to curb hunger, not realizing that each piece is quietly signaling the body that food is near. That signal is all it takes to stall fasting benefits for hours. Even outside the fasting window, those little healthy snacks can keep your insulin constantly elevated. A handful of nuts between meals, a protein bar marketed as low carb, or a few bites of fruit every couple of hours. Each small snack prevents insulin from fully dropping. The body never gets a long enough break to shift into fat burning or autophagy. It's like trying to clean your house while people keep walking through the door, dropping off new messes. It's not about perfection or fear of food. It's about awareness. Once you understand how sensitive your body's insulin response can be, you start to see why your fasts haven't been working the way they should. The goal isn't to suffer through starvation. It's to give your body the quiet it needs to recalibrate. That means a truly clean fast, water, black coffee, plain tea, electrolytes without flavoring, and nothing else. When you fast clean, insulin finally falls low enough for your fat stores to open. Your body begins pulling energy from within, burning fat efficiently while autophagy works behind the scenes to repair your cells. You stop feeling that mid-morning crash because your body has learned to tap into its stored fuel. You feel alert, light, and calm, a complete contrast to the foggy, restless energy that comes from insulin constantly fluctuating. Once people remove these hidden triggers, fasting suddenly feels effortless. Hunger lessens, focus sharpens, and the fat loss they were chasing finally begins. The magic isn't in fasting harder, it's in fasting cleaner. Those small insulin spikes, as harmless as they seem, are the difference between your body staying stuck in storage and finally shifting into the fat burning, cell healing state you've been working for. The fix isn't complicated, it's actually refreshingly simple. You don't need to fast longer, starve yourself, or buy special supplements. You just need to fast clean. Once you understand what a truly clean fast looks like, everything about fasting begins to work the way it was meant to. The fat starts to release, your brain feels clearer, and your body finally enters the deep healing mode you've been chasing. A clean fast means one thing: no insulin stimulation, nothing that tastes sweet, nothing that triggers digestion, and nothing that tells your brain that food might be coming. It's not about calories. It's about chemistry. During your fasting hours, the goal is to give your body a complete break from the hormonal roller coaster of eating. That break allows insulin to fall steadily, signaling your body to open up stored fat for energy and activate autophagy for cellular cleanup. So what does that look like in practice? During your fasting window, stick to water, plain, mineral, or sparkling without flavoring. If you like coffee, make it black. If you prefer tea, keep it unsweetened and free of additives. Avoid all creamers, sweeteners, and flavor drops, even the 0-calorie ones. It might feel strict at first, but this is the line between a fast that stalls and a fast that heals. You can add electrolytes, but make sure they're unflavored. Sodium, potassium, and magnesium can make fasting feel easier, especially if you experience fatigue or headaches early on. These minerals keep your body hydrated and your energy stable as you adapt to burning fat for fuel. The next part of clean fasting is consistency. Your body thrives on rhythm. Pick a fasting window that fits your life, maybe 16 hours, maybe 18, and repeat it daily. This steady routine trains your hormones to expect rest and repair at certain times. Over a few days, insulin naturally begins to fall more quickly, fat burning ramps up, and fasting becomes second nature. You'll notice you can go longer without hunger, and your energy remains stable because your metabolism has learned how to tap into fat efficiently. But the real magic happens when you learn to break your fast properly. The first meal after fasting sets the tone for your next insulin cycle. Break your fast with foods that keep insulin low and blood sugar steady. Clean proteins like eggs, fish, or chicken, healthy fats like avocado or olive oil, and low-carb vegetables. Avoid sugary smoothies, cereal, or pastries even if they're labeled healthy. A high-carb first meal spikes insulin sharply, undoing hours of fasting chemistry in minutes. A great rule of thumb is to keep your first meal simple, savory, and nourishing. Think of it as reintroducing food gently, not shocking your system. Within a few days of doing this, you'll notice how differently your body responds. Fewer cravings, steadier focus, and a calm sense of energy that lasts through the afternoon. One of the most effective tweaks for people who feel stuck is extending the fasting window slightly, even by 1 hour. That extra time allows insulin to drop just a little lower, which can make a huge difference in activating fat burning and on autophagy. For some, pushing from 16 hours to 17 or 18 is all it takes to start seeing results. The goal isn't to go longer forever. It's to get insulin low enough long enough to let your body do the work it's built to do. And if you've been using flavored drinks or sweeteners, take a short break from them altogether. Give your body at least 2 weeks of clean fasting to reset its insulin response. Many people are shocked by how quickly their hunger stabilizes and how light they feel once those sweet triggers are gone. This isn't about punishment or deprivation. It's about restoring your body's ability to listen and respond to the right signals. When you fast clean, you're not forcing fat loss. You're allowing it. You're creating the perfect internal environment for insulin to fall, fat to be released, and autophagy to begin. It's the most natural reset your metabolism can experience, and it starts with something as simple as what's not in your cup. Once you master this clean fasting formula, your body will finally shift gears. You'll notice your energy rise, your focus sharpen, and your waistline respond not because you're fighting your body, but because you've finally learned how to work with it. The fix isn't complicated. It's actually refreshingly simple. You don't need to fast longer, starve yourself, or buy special supplements. You just need to fast clean. Once you understand what a truly clean fast looks like, everything about fasting begins to work the way it was meant to. The fat starts to release, your brain feels clear, and your body finally enters the deep healing mode. clean fasting is one thing: no insulin stimulation, nothing that tastes sweet, nothing that triggers digestion, and nothing that tells your brain that food might be coming. It's not about calories, it's about chemistry. During your fasting hours, the goal is to give your body a complete break from the hormonal roller coaster of eating. That break allows insulin to fall steadily, signaling your body to open up stored fat for energy and activate autophagy for cellular cleanup. So what does that look like in practice? During your fasting window, stick to water. Plain, mineral, or sparkling without flavoring. If you like coffee, make it black. If you prefer tea, keep it unsweetened and free of additives. Avoid all creamers, sweeteners, and flavor drops, even the zero-calorie ones. It might feel strict at first, but this is the line between a fast that stalls and a fast that heals. You can add electrolytes, but make sure they're unflavored. Sodium, potassium, and magnesium can make fasting feel easier, especially if you experience fatigue or headaches early on. These minerals keep your body hydrated and your energy stable as you adapt to burning fat for fuel. The next part of clean fasting is consistency. Your body thrives on rhythm. Pick a fasting window that fits your life, maybe 16 hours, maybe 18, and repeat it daily. This steady routine trains your hormones to expect rest and repair at certain times. Over a few days, insulin naturally begins to fall more quickly, fat burning ramps up, and fasting becomes second nature. You'll notice you can go longer without hunger, and your energy remains stable because your metabolism has learned how to tap into fat efficiently. But the real magic happens when you learn to break your fast properly. The first meal after fasting sets the tone for your next insulin cycle. Break your fast with foods that keep insulin low and blood sugar steady, clean proteins like eggs, fish, or chicken, healthy fats like avocado or olive oil, and low-carb vegetables. Avoid sugary smoothies, cereal, or pastries, even if they're labeled healthy. A high-carb first meal spikes insulin sharply, undoing hours of fasting chemistry in minutes. A great rule of thumb is to keep your first meal simple, savory, and nourishing. Think of it as reintroducing food gently, not shocking your system. Within a few days of doing this, you'll notice how differently your body responds. Fewer cravings, steadier focus, and a calm sense of energy that lasts through the afternoon. One of the most effective tweaks for people who feel stuck is extending the fasting window slightly, even by 1 hour. That extra time allows insulin to drop just a little lower, which can make a huge difference in activating fat burning and autophagy. For some, pushing from 16 hours to 17 or 18 is all it takes to start seeing results. The goal isn't to go longer forever, it's to get insulin low enough, long enough, to let your body do the work it's built to do. And if you've been using flavored drinks or sweeteners, take a short break from them altogether. Give your body at least 2 weeks of clean fasting to reset its insulin response. Many people are shocked by how quickly their hunger stabilizes and how light they feel once those sweet triggers are gone. This isn't about punishment or deprivation. It's about restoring your body's ability to listen and respond to the right signals. When you fast clean, you're not forcing fat loss. You're allowing it. You're creating the perfect internal environment for insulin to fall, fat to be released, and autophagy to begin. It's the most natural reset your metabolism can experience, and it starts with something as simple as what's not in your cup. Once you master this clean fasting formula, your body will finally shift gears. You'll notice your energy rise, your focus sharpen, and your waistline respond, not because you're fighting your body, but because you've finally learned how to work with it. When fasting finally starts working the way it's supposed to, your body gives you clear signals, quiet, powerful signs that you've shifted into true fat, burning, and repair mode. These aren't dramatic overnight changes. They're subtle transformations that unfold over days or weeks. They tell you that your insulin is finally low, your fat stores are opening, and autophagy, that deep cellular cleanup process, has begun. The first and most noticeable sign is energy. Not the jittery, caffeine-fueled kind, but a steady, grounded sense of vitality that lasts all day. When insulin drops and your body transitions from burning glucose to burning fat, energy becomes more stable because fat is a constant, abundant fuel source. You're no longer dependent on eating every few hours to stay functional. That mid-morning slump or post-lunch crash fades away. Instead, you feel alert, focused, and calm, even while fasting. Alongside that steady energy comes a surprising calmness in your hunger. This is one of the clearest indicators that your body has adapted to fat metabolism. Eat. In the beginning, fasting can feel uncomfortable. Your brain is used to quick sugar hits and panics when they're gone. But once your insulin stays low long enough, your cells become more sensitive to it, and your fat stores finally unlock. Your body begins pulling from its own energy reserves, and hunger quiets. You might even forget to eat on time because your body is fueled from within. That's the sign that you're no longer trapped in sugar burning mode. Another unmistakable change is mental clarity. When your liver starts producing ketones from stored fat, those ketones become a clean, efficient energy source for your brain. They burn without the inflammatory residue that glucose leaves behind. That's why people often describe fasting as feeling sharp or clear-headed. Thoughts organize more easily, focus improves, and even mood stabilizes. It's not magic. It's chemistry. Low insulin means low inflammation, and low inflammation means a brain that finally gets the quiet it needs to function at its best. If you're tracking your progress with numbers, you'll notice your morning glucose levels start to drop. Not dangerously low, but gently trending downward as your metabolism recalibrates. A fasting glucose that once hovered around 100 or higher may fall into the 80s or even 70s over time. That's a reflection of your improved insulin sensitivity and your body's renewed ability to manage energy efficiently. At the same time, you may start seeing small rises in your ketone readings. Whether you measure with a breath monitor or blood ketone meter, those numbers don't need to skyrocket. Even a modest rise indicates that your body has started burning fat for fuel, a direct sign that autophagy is likely active in the background. But what's happening beneath those measurable changes is even more fascinating. As insulin stays low and autophagy ramps up, your cells begin breaking down damaged proteins, mitochondria, and even dysfunctional fat cells. Visceral fat, the dangerous kind that wraps around your organs, is the first to go because it's metabolically active and highly sensitive to insulin. When your insulin falls, that visceral fat finally releases its stored energy and your body burns it for fuel. Over time, that means less inflammation, improved hormone balance, and a shrinking waistline. You might also notice your digestion improving. Autophagy doesn't just clean up fat cells, it rejuvenates the gut lining and helps regulate inflammation in the intestines. That's why bloating often decreases and gut discomfort lessens as your fasting routine stabilizes. Your body isn't working against itself anymore, it's repairing. Sleep can improve too. Many people find they wake up feeling more refreshed, even on fewer hours of rest. That's because autophagy and fat metabolism reduce the oxidative stress that normally keeps the body's repair systems overloaded. With less inflammation and better energy balance, your circadian rhythm naturally stabilizes. And perhaps the most rewarding sign of all, your cravings shift. You stop obsessing over sugar snacks and processed carbs. Your palate begins to favor savory, nutrient-dense foods. This is your body's way of telling you it no longer needs quick energy, it prefers stability. When your metabolism is truly fat adapted, food becomes fuel, not an emotional crutch. All of these signs, the calm hunger, the clear mind, the balanced mood, the lower glucose, the rising ketones, point to one simple truth: your insulin has finally fallen low enough for your body to heal. Autophagy is active, visceral fat is releasing, and your system is rebuilding itself from the inside out. It's your body's way of saying, thank you. I can finally breathe again. This is what real fasting feels like when it's working, not exhaustion or hunger, but quiet strength and clarity. Once you reach this state, every fast becomes easier because your body isn't fighting you anymore. It's cooperating, repairing, cleaning, and transforming exactly as it was designed to do. The beauty of fixing this fasting mistake is that it's not about being perfect. It's about finding your rhythm. Once you understand how your body truly works, fasting stops feeling like a diet and starts becoming a lifestyle rhythm, one that aligns with your biology instead of fighting it. You stop chasing fat loss and start supporting your body's natural design. A design built for cycles of nourishment and rest, feeding and fasting, storing and cleaning. The goal isn't to fast longer or push harder. It's to stay consistent, giving your body enough time every day for insulin to fall and repair to begin. That rhythm is where lasting transformation happens. You're not trying to control your metabolism anymore. You're letting it balance itself. When you maintain a daily window of low insulin, even for a few hours, your body gets the message: we're safe. We can release fat. We can heal. Think of it as metabolic breathing, a steady inhale and exhale between eating and fasting. When you eat, choose foods that support insulin control. Clean proteins, healthy fats, fiber, rich vegetables, and minimal processed carbs. When you fast, let your body rest completely. No sweeteners, no constant snacking, no insulin triggers. The more often you repeat this pattern, the easier it becomes. Insulin sensitivity improves, hunger regulates naturally, and your energy levels even out. Within a few weeks of this rhythm, everything starts to shift. Weight begins to drop without effort because your fat cells are no longer locked. Mental fog clears as your brain runs on ketones instead of sugar. Inflammation settles, your skin looks clearer, your digestion improves, and you start to feel lighter, not just in your body, but in your mind. You're not forcing change anymore. Eat. You're flowing with it. The real transformation comes when fasting becomes intuitive. You'll notice that your hunger cues start aligning with your energy cycles. You eat when you're truly hungry, not when the clock tells you to. You can skip a meal without anxiety because your body has learned to rely on its internal fuel source. That's what it means to be metabolically flexible. Your body can switch between burning sugar and fat effortlessly. Sustainability comes from simplicity. You don't need complex plans or rigid schedules. You just need a few daily anchors. Keep your fasting window consistent. Break your fast with nourishing foods. Hydrate well and prioritize sleep. Your body does the rest. Some days you'll fast 16 hours, other days maybe 18. It doesn't matter as long as the pattern holds steady. The rhythm itself keeps insulin low and autophagy active. And the best part, this rhythm restores more than your metabolism. It restores your confidence in your own body. So many people spend years thinking their body is broken, that it doesn't respond like it should. But it was never broken. It was just overwhelmed by constant feeding signals. Once you clear those signals and let insulin drop, your body remembers how to heal. The cravings quiet, the energy returns, and fat loss becomes a byproduct of balance. Over time, this isn't just about burning fat. It's about aging better, thinking clearer, and living longer. Autophagy protects your cells from damage, insulin control guards your heart and brain, and steady energy gives you back your focus and motivation. The changes go far beyond the mirror. They ripple into every area of life. This is what fasting was designed for. Not punishment, but renewal. Not restriction, but rhythm. Once you fix that simple mistake and give your body the space to reset each day, it starts working with you again. You'll find yourself naturally fasting, naturally choosing real food, naturally feeling lighter and more awake. And that's the ultimate freedom. When your body finally does what fasting was always meant to do, it cleans, heals, and burns fat effortlessly. No struggle, no extremes. Just a steady, sustainable rhythm of repair that keeps you strong, lean, and clear for life.